Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Investing. I'm Tim Diesel. Today I'm answering a question, should I sell or refi my property? As always, you could reach out to us online, www.dieselcommercial.com. And if you have any questions or anything that you need help with, email, call, and we'll get you taken care of. All right. So there are really only two ways to get cash out of your property. And I'm going to explain the differences a little bit to you. You already know about them. And, I understand an argument could be made that rental cash flow is taking cash out, but I'm more referring to a larger portion of cash. Now, it's very important that you prepare your property for whichever one you choose because they're not the same. I'll try to put something together for you guys and walk you through the process a little bit more. But for now, let's talk about the basics. Selling versus refining. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is, as always, you must know what you're going to do with your proceeds because there's a different result on each one. So let's talk about selling first. As you know, the worst part about selling is you get taxed on what you end up with. The problem with selling is it usually takes longer to get your money. The sales cycle is much longer than a refi in most cases. Now, this has to do with what kind of property you have, has to do with the brokers in the industry, unfortunately, which is very upsetting. The marketing package isn't put together properly, and most of the time, you don't even know what the seller is offering. But I digress. Another thing with selling is buyers often want things on the inspection report remedied to their satisfaction, which is not the case in a refinance. So when you refi, it's quicker most of the time, much shorter process. You don't get as much cash as you would have pulled out when you sold. So, for example, if you have $1 million property and you sell, let's just say you net $900,000. Well, depending on the type of property you have and what stage you are in doing the refi, how long you've owned it, all that other good stuff, your loan to values is going to be around 70 to 80%, somewhere in that range. Now, I know there's more, there's less. Let's just ballpark it here. You're oftentimes not going to get as much as you would have if you sold. Now, the taxes are deferred, which is nice for now, but you have to worry about them later. And that's kind of the biggest thing here. So which one should you do? Now, I don't know. This depends on your situation, of course. What's your market like? Where your property is? What's the condition? Do you need the cash for another venture? Is your loan coming due pretty soon? Do you have partners in the deal? These are the kind of questions I would ask you if we were having a conversation. And a lot of times my clients are confused because they don't really know what they want to do. And I can't exactly tell you what to do. I can only give you my best opinion and advise you on what I would probably do. But it really depends. It just depends on your whole financial picture sometimes. If it's you only have one property and you have 5 other partners and you want to get rid of it, then maybe selling is for you. If you have a larger portfolio, you want to cash out some people, maybe you could refi. You also, unfortunately, real estate is really not a very liquid business. And you have to know that when you get in. Cash is always tied up in these properties most of the time. And a lot of times it's not all just yours. It could be partners, it could be investors. So the cost of debt really matters, gets into it. And you want to look at all your options. You want to really look at everything. So selling may be the thing for you, but if you need your money out quicker and you have to cash people out, maybe you'd have to refi. But you definitely want to prepare for both. You don't want to be in one. So if you're going to sell and you're going to do a 1031, you need to line something up ahead of time. You don't want to just be scrambling around. And same thing if you refi, you do not want to you don't want to just pull cash out, change your rate and term just to do it. You most of the time, you really want to know what your plan is and what you're trying to do. And if you look at the history of your property, so if you've had the property for a number of years and you can tell what's the growth like. Have you maxed out the growth, or can you squeeze a little more out of this thing? Well, if you already have it at tip-top shape, then that's kind of the time to sell it. So maybe you bought right, you want to take some chips off the table, and it could be the right time for you, then that's what you're looking for. If you know there's still a lot of work to do, you got to be careful, because when you put it back on the market, you're going to have a buyer really hit you on a lot of those things. Well, a refi, you can just patch up a couple of things and kind of get by. So that's kind of where you want to be. I hope that was helpful. You can always ask me more questions if you guys want. I'm on every platform at Tim J. Diesel. Take care and thank you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.